Well, it's another stormy day, and what better way to spend it than in the comfort of your own home, listening to a boring video like Manila Sentinel Raw. Anyway, I'd like to continue with acknowledging viewers' comments from last week's video. The comments that I featured are just some of those that I managed to find, and comments which I believe have meant a lot to this channel. As you all know, I'm seriously thinking of closing down the channel in some shape or form. At any rate, I'll make an announcement at the end of this video. So let's go on with acknowledging viewers' comments, and let's start with episode 53, which is the target printer episode, where I discussed bad shooters' habits. Well, practically those who believe they're training but they merely print on paper. So let's start with Team Gonzalez Actual. And he says, "This is me right now, static shooting, focusing on fundamentals with grip, draw, and sight picture. Waiting for springtime so I can go out on my first IDPA match. I agree with everything you say. Train, train, train. Good content." Team Gonzalez, that's a good move. IDPA or any form of practical shooting or shooting matches are a very good way to train because every shot you take is deliberate and you don't waste ammunition. The thing is, you develop a high level of proficiency with shooting matches. That's how I developed my shooting proficiency when I was still doing IPSC competitions. And you get to do a lot of handgun manipulations, shooting on the move, speed reloads, etc., etc. So, yes, IDPA is a good training tool. The reason why I came up with this presentation is because I saw a guy on the range one time. It was an indoor range, and he had a couple of highly tricked out pistols. One was a 1911, the other was a CZ Shadow 2, which were both chambered for 9mm, and he was just mag dumping into a single paper target. I think he almost consumed around 500 rounds for each pistol, and that's a waste of ammunition and a waste of time. Kumbaga, maganda lang yung baril mo pero di ka naman marunong. Anyway, that's that. Going forward with episode 56, and this is the Minimalist EDC, where I bastardized Leatherman Micra. Sorry. And Herm's channel again says, "Nice solution what you did with the Micra." Thank you, Herm's channel, for that comment. And Tactical Bruce says, "Hey buddy, you have a very cool channel. I like all the guns and stuff. I only have rifles as I live in Australia. Anyway, count me amused. Respect from Melbourne. Take care." And thank you, Tactical Bruce. Lucky you, you have rifles. Someday, I plan on getting a rifle or a pistol one of these days when I can afford it. Going forward with Minimalist EDC, and again, another YouTube celebrity who subscribed to my channel, MBEDC from UK. And he says, "A true Minimalist EDC. Loved it, especially the repurposing of the Micra. I have a similar approach and typically carry the Victorinox Midnight Manager in my pocket and the Olight i3E EOS on my keychain with the Gerber shard and a small tritium tag to be able to find my keychain in the dark. I have a couple of videos on it. Thanks for sharing. I have subscribed." Thank you, MBEDC, for subscribing. It's quite an honor for a fellow content creator to be subscribed to my humble channel. And I'm also subscribed to your channel, MBEDC. Thank you. Going to episode 57, and this is my gear acquisition syndrome. We have Kman23, and he says, "You, sir, are the most realist EDC prepper guy on YouTube. I went from having EDC fixed blades with 1,000 more crap in my pockets to a humble sack hiker, AA light, and a mini lighter. You share no BS. You do not sell whatever it is, unlike some other people within the platform. And you give really good information about real world things that actually happen and how to deal with it. I truly hope more people see this channel. Reality is not many people like to see this channel." There's not many subscribed to this channel, so that's that. It's really up to the audience to tune in. It's not my call, seriously. And again, let's go back to Kman23. He says again, "Thank you, sir. I've been a fan watching every upload for 2 years. And yes, it really changed how I view things, especially on the way I carry to my philosophy on the hobby." Let's look back at episode 43, the multi-tool episode. And Aceman 1126 says, "I agree, kinda. I EDC a Leatherman Wave when I'm at work, and it saves me so much hassle when I need a quick tool and don't want to walk to the van, which could be fairly far away. During my off time, I carry a main knife like a Spyderco Delica or Benchmade Bug Out, and a small multi-tool like a Leatherman Squirt or Juice. I keep a spare Wave clone in the car for emergencies." Thank you, Aceman, for agreeing, kinda. I wonder what that Wave clone is, but just the same, thank you for your intelligent comment, and I really enjoy receiving long comments like that because it gives me a chance to interact with the audience directly. Let's go to episode 47, and this is Realistic Bug Out Plans. We have Harold G9066, and he says, "Alice Canteen and pouches, indicators that you are talking to a seasoned person. Nothing beats the classics." Thank you, Harold. Wow, seasoned. Yeah, I look like it. Being into this hobby for the last over 40 years, so there you go. Episode 50 now, the double action bullet. Now, this is one of the few times where I actually discuss something that's related to firearms. And I apologize, this first comment is in Tagalog. It comes from Lito Palmes 208, and he says, "Medyo gandahan mo pa yung presentation, sir, para dumami pa subscriber mo. Medyo boring kasi hindi uubra yung paamo-amo ng boses." And basically, Lito Palmes says that my videos are boring. Simple as that. And Lito, sorry, ganito na talaga boses ko. School teacher ako dati, kaya ganito ako magsalita. Tsaka, sa totoo lang, wala akong pake kung isa lang ang subscriber ko o isang damakmak. The point is, I have intelligent comments on my YouTube channel, and I think that matters more than the number of subscriptions or the likes and whatever. I enjoy more the direct interaction than anything else. So it doesn't really matter how many subscribers I have. Continuing with episode 50, Avil6031 says, "Thank you for this knowledge. As a criminology student, it is a big help, lalo na sa queries namin related sa subject on ballistics. Salute." And I salute you, Avil6031. And I'm glad that this somehow helps you in your schooling. I hope that little bit of information goes a long way. Criminology students here in the Philippines actually go through a subject on firearms and ballistics, and they do some live fire sessions. So I'm glad that the episode helped him. And here's another comment, again in Tagalog. I will translate later. And it's from MJ FMJ .45, and he says, "Yes sir, tama po. Yung sinasabi nila na double action ammunition, ang tawag po talaga hollow point. Nakuha po siguro nila yung idea na double action bullet na kapag putok ng bala, the first action, at pagtama sa target, upon impact, mag-expand ang slug or tip ng bullet na tinatawag nilang second action. Theory lang po." MJ says, the reason why in Filipino gun lore, they call hollow points double action bullets is because first action would be the firing of the cartridge, and the second action would be when the bullet expands. So that's what MJ FMJ was talking about. And MJ, your theory is correct, and based on my own personal research, my interviews with people, and usually it's people who don't really own firearms, who have a lot of gun lore in them. That's why they don't know any better. That's why they think the way they think about firearms. So I'm glad that the episode helped you guys in some way, and thank you for that comment. All right, let's jump to episode 82, the first responder EDC. And we acknowledge Eric Mann, 7945, and he says, "Great wisdom, thank you." Thank you, Eric Mann. And Juan de la Cruz, 001, says, "Oh my gosh, I've been in the US Blade EDC Prepper Readiness Survival PracTac online sphere since 1999. I'm actually retired from all the gear whoring and I just stumbled on your channel. Love to get the X share for myself. Glad I found a fellow Pinoy Gen Xer into this stuff." Juan de la Cruz, I beat you by about 15 years. So I've been into this since like the mid 1980s. And thank you. Glad I found you. Again, Fire Dragon 888 says, "I feel so bad why I haven't discovered your channel much earlier." And he goes on to say, "My purpose is to at least know what I need to do in case I get injured or someone in the family needs medical attention." So Fire Dragon, basically what I featured on that particular episode were some of my EDC stuff as a first responder. And I believe your needs as a lay rescuer or as a regular civilian would be much lower, I should say. And don't worry about carrying an elaborate responder's kit if you're not necessarily trained as a responder. I'm not discouraging you from that, but be aware that if you decide to help someone, you have to commit to that. It's like being in a self-defense engagement. You don't just walk in there and pretend that you can do something. Once you're in there, you're there for keeps. So there's that. And let's move on to episode 85, customized guns for lefties. And I made a video dedicated to left-handed shooters like myself. So Harold G 9066 comes back and says, "No truer words. Better to be proficient with fundamentals than jump directly on the tactical stuff." So true. I have to agree. And as a left-handed shooter, I believe that there are things that can be customized, but I'd rather keep whatever equipment I have as is. Moving to episode 87, we have again Ave Christus Rex, and he says, "Best home defense video I watched on YouTube. Realistic and no BS." And if you notice, no guns either. The thing is, when people talk about home defense, there's usually a firearm involved. And in this particular presentation, I suggested alternatives to the firearm, or the firearm not being the first option for home defense. And Harold G says, "I find your lessons practical and functional." And again, another YouTube creator, Jose Rizal Adventures, says, "Greetings from a fellow prepper here in Houston, Texas." We have John Dino Hepitan, 47, and he says, "Best advice and a heart." Thank you, John Dino. Leon-Z6R says, "Mahaba, pwedeng 10 minutes lang ito." And basically, Leon says, the video's too long. And I'm sorry, boy, if you have a short attention span. Some people. Anyway, moving to episode 92, and that's the Pocket Master episode where I developed a really tiny or Altoids tin type of survival kit. We have Jerome Legaspi, 4839, and he says, "Ang galing mag-discuss, na-reevaluate ko tuloy yung pocket kit ko. Thanks po, sir." And basically what he's saying is, I discuss matters clearly and it made him reevaluate his pocket kit. Thank you, Jerome Legaspi. We have Alan Alvarado, and he says, "Thanks, sir. Try ko rin magawa yung tama lang sa skills ko." Basically, he's saying he will assemble a kit based on his skill level. Thank you, Alan. Again, John Dino Hapitan says, "I agree 100%. It will be interesting if you can share what types of easy carry kits." I believe I already made an episode on self-reliance kits, and you can probably look it up because it's too far it's too far down the road. So anyway, I also came up with the Manila Sentinel reviews show, and this is where I focus on kit. and whatever else. It's a mini review from a user's perspective, and we go to episode 13, which is my simple shot slant roller episode. And Joe Finkelday 8709 says, good review, thanks for the comparison. This is exactly what I was looking for. And Joe, thank you that you found it. Thank you that I provided what you were looking for. And as a viewer myself, I'd like to find videos of comparisons and how a product stacks up against other stuff. So again, thank you, Joe. Going to episode 16, which is the Victorinox waiter episode. And P. Mantos 1 says, love the waiter and the walker, have them both. Great review, cheers, bye. And basically that's all there is, or those are just some of the comments that I managed to recover from my channel for the last 2 years. Of course, there's other comments, but I believe these are the more substantial comments that I've received over the last 2 years, which is why I'm acknowledging them. Again, my heartfelt thanks to all those who commented. More than just the subscription, I appreciate the comments because, again, it gives me a chance to interact directly with my audience, and I believe that's what this channel is for, to disseminate information and to accept questions from people. And if I don't know the answer, then I'll tell you I don't know. So I believe that's what makes me at the very least credible, is because if I don't know anything, then I'll tell you. It's not as if I'll be like the fake preppers who give so many suggestions, but they've never really been in a situation where they'd be educated enough to make a guess about what they're talking about. I'm talking Greek again. At any rate, it's been a good run for me, despite the fact that in the 2 years I've not even reached 1,000 subscribers. But there's that. That's life as a creator. At any rate, thank you for having watched this channel for the last 2 years, and for some of you, for the last this should be like 13 years I've been on YouTube. So thank you guys for that. Now, I'm thinking of closing down Manila Sentinel Raw as a public channel, and here's what I intend to do. Now, I will definitely be making more content, and there's a lot more interesting topics in the pipeline. I'm planning on doing a lot more instructional videos, shooting videos, practical demos like the ones I did during my Kurimao episodes. And what I'd like to be able to do is single out the serious subscribers, those who are really interested. I'm not really interested in growing the channel as it is, but I'm more interested in coming up with more meaningful content. So what I'd like to do is, if you want to see my videos, I'll put a teaser on my posts. And if you'd like to see the video, click on the QR code that I always show at the closing credits. And I'll be frank, send a little love my way, and I'll email a link, share the video privately with you guys. So if you're interested, send me some love, whatever you can spare. And in the message box, you can include your email address so I can share the videos privately with you. Because let's face it, some of the content I'd like to put out are not for public consumption. So if you'd like exclusive access to those videos, then that's the way to go. Send me your email address, send a little love, and enjoy the videos that I'll be putting out. I almost said my farewells, but there's still a lot more interesting stuff to produce. But let's face it, I have to keep this thing going. So let's see if this will work. If it doesn't work, then I'll still keep making videos, but doesn't matter, the 1 or 2 or You know, if anyone's interested, I'll share the video privately. And that's that, you know. At any rate, thank you again to all those commenters that I have acknowledged, all the subscribers to this channel, the 821 subscribers as of this recording. And thank you guys for having supported this channel for the last, or this show for the last 2 years. I'll still be around, but I'll be below the radar, so to speak. So if you'd like to see more content, then, you know, click on the QR code. Send some love my way. It can be as little as, for a minimum of 100 pesos, you can watch quality videos again, just like I've been putting out. But this time for a very, very private audience and with much more meaningful content. And so, that's been the long and the short of it. This has been Absabando for Manila Sentinel Raw. I'll see you when I see you.
Flight 5100, maintain runway heading, climb 3,000 feet, runway 13, clear for immediate takeoff.